Welcome to the next episode of ASL Recon. Here we are in the Netherlands East Indies at Monado. Langoan Airfield, Bounding Fire Productions number 39. This is a wonderful scenario, beautiful cover and module from the Bounding Fire Productions. This scenario was selected through the competition of the WARR tournament 1942. What that entails is a number of individuals playing of equal skill level and selecting scenarios that are quite balanced according to ROAR. So it's plus or minus 5%. So this scenario, I believe, comes out as a 55% balance feature, and it essentially made the cut for the tournament. So my opponent selected one of three scenarios. I randomly picked one of them. I actually didn't even know this was a paratrooper scenario. So it was actually a pleasure to find. I've played Hunters in the Sky, another excellent paratrooper scenario. This one here is a Japanese airdrop, and you'll be pleasantly surprised, maybe, with the Japanese rules in this one. And Bounding Fire, I think, does an excellent job on screwing with your brain. And when it comes to ASL, not only do you have Japanese, which has a tendency to throw a couple curveballs, but now you have paratroopers that act like Germans, and all hell breaks loose. So let's get to the scenario. Here's the location here. Obviously, Monado is, I'm pronouncing it Monado. Monado is just south of the Philippines. So in this wonderful East Indies area of Asia. So let's get to the scenario and look at some of the details that you as an ASL player need to recognize. I'll go ahead and continue with the introduction to the scenario, and then we'll go into the scenario itself. The Japanese southern offensive was aimed at the Netherlands East Indies and seizing its oil fields. The planned operation to capture oil fields at Tarawa Island was canceled because the jump-off airfields were not ready. The mission changed to capturing the Monado Peninsula and its airfield. The Sasebo 1st Special Naval Landing Force, SNLF, planned to land on both sides of Monado and capture it. The Sasebo 2nd SNLF, reinforced with a tank company, planned to land to the southeast and advance to Kakas, which, in no surprise, is the actual next scenario. So, and I plan to play that with another opponent. Pretty crazy. The Yokosuka 1st SNLF planned to conduct an airdrop and capture the Langoan airfield. And I'll go ahead and read the after action. The first company, 139 paratroopers strong, led by Lieutenant Maraguchi, dropped at 10:20 hours. Lieutenant Wielinga, the D Company commander, directed fire onto the paratroopers as they dropped, inflicting several casualties. The landing area was generally open, allowing the paratroopers to see their weapon containers, but also exposing them to effective fire. A large group was caught in the open trying to get their weapons, while another group landed almost directly on top of a fortified position. They immediately attacked the bunkers with pistols and hand grenades, allowing the others to gather weapons. Captain Vandenberg, the Reserve Corps Oud commander, ordered 2 armored cars to attack the airfield. These are some crazy ass armored cars. You'll see them in the OB. One was immobilized on the way, but the second arrived at the airfield and opened fire. The armored car was attacked by daring Japanese soldiers who captured it. That's pretty badass, to be honest. Most of the colonial troops began to withdraw. The Japanese were enraged by their casualties, and the Dutch troops that surrendered, including Lieutenant Wielinga and Sergeant Major Robemond, were bayoneted and beheaded. Even though they suffered heavy casualties, the airfield was in Japanese hands at 11:25. So they dropped Took it within about an hour. So pretty badass. It's actually a really nice scenario in terms of just executing. And again, with all pair drop scenarios, you might have to play it more than once because, yeah, we'll go into that. Anyway, let's kick down to the scenario card. As with both pair drop scenarios, pretty much they're 3 boards with some exceptions. Mission, or VC. The Japanese win at game end by controlling / eliminating all pillboxes and the 4 buildings adjacent to the airfield. Now we'll get to that. Again, when you're picking out your scenarios and you're looking at, specific verbiage, control and or eliminate all pillboxes in the 4 buildings adjacent to the airfield. Mind you, the terminology used here. It's important to note, especially based upon the map that we'll get into. So we'll address that in just a few moments. Taking a look at the normal units. Obviously, in most pair drop scenarios, you're not going to have units of super long range. Otherwise, all your guys are going to get shot the hell out of the sky. For the most part, they're designed for your guys not actually get shot when they're dropping. So usually they have green troops, 447, something that will only be able to fire like 2 hexes. Most of their AA machine gun capability or AA capabilities are negligent or non-existent. In this case, you have medium machine guns. They're all in pillboxes, as you'll see down below. And your AA machine gun vehicle is not even going to be on the board at the beginning of the game. So you will not really take a lot of fire through the pair drop. And rightly so, to be honest with you. Your units will be dispersed typically, although the Japanese use the German dispersal pattern, which is half because they dropped low. But in this case, as you see, as you could probably denote here through the Japanese OB, they're 228s. And they're very, very pretty much the same thing like German paratroopers. We'll get into that in a second. But anyway, the OB for the Netherlands, the Nederlander, are 7 green, 2 green half squads, 3 crews, 3 leaders, 3 mediums, lots of matches things up, things like that. 2 LMGs, 4 concealments, which is pretty cool. I actually think this is a really nice combination of concealments for this scenario on the way my opponent, Jack Wilson, had played them. So, very effective use of the concealments. His role on the way he conducted the game, many would consider very stagnant, boring. But to be honest with you, the Japanese have to come to you. You don't have to go to them. So, keeping with the VC, again, he kept with the VC style. Does he need to chase down Japanese? Nope, because he knows exactly where they're going to go. So you wait for them, you try to punish them, and you proceed to the next objective. 3 pillboxes you see there. The Japanese have to control and destroy all 3 of them. Trenches, irrelevant in the VC, but have a scenario special rule associated with them. And 4 foxholes, which actually proved to be very interesting in the game as we continued. As you see, that might develop. So, scooting down here, actually not really a standard, but tons of elite troops, couple crews for your medium machine guns, of course. You got leaders, you got LMGs, you got mortars, and you got a big old DC, which can be used in various ways. Blowing up bunkers, blowing up tanks, blowing up yourself, whatever. You are Japanese, by the way. So, special rules, of which there are only 4. These might be a little hazy for you. I'm just going to back out just a little bit. So Scenario Special Rule 1 says, see Japanese paratrooper heat of battle rules. And I'll show you that in just a second. EC or moist with a mild breeze from the north. The north would be the top of the map, so your paratroopers are going to be blown down. PTO is in effect with light jungle. Exception, roads exist normally. If you don't have the roads existing normally, your vehicle, as we will discuss shortly, will never make it to the field. Trenches must be set up adjacent to or in the same hex of at least one pillbox. All pillboxes must be set up less than or equal to 2 hexes from an airfield hex. A 228, and we'll get into that. Again, airfield hex. A 228 crew and medium machine gun must set up in each pillbox, which of course you can't fire AA from there, and I think the mediums can't fire AA anyway. Pillboxes and contents start the game hip. That's a cool rule. But all are placed on board at the end of the first player turn, if not already revealed. So I like that. So essentially, with the pillboxes in the game, the trenches will still be hidden because it's PTO, based upon their location, mind you. Your foxholes will remain hidden because it's PTO. Again, something you might forget. Based upon their status and location, of course, if they're in open ground, they'll be revealed. But PTO, if you're in terrains, then you'll maintain their foxhole status. And that actually proved to be, I don't want to say a hurdle, but a deciding factor on whether or not you kind of want to shoot every once in a while. Because, you know, a lot of times if you don't have a lot of firepower, you might not want to pop off a 2+2 shot or 4+2 shot. The Dutch medium machine gun, the Dutch use the medium machine gun as per G1611, which means crews need to use them. Crews are qualified to use the mediums. Anybody else is considered non. It's like the breakdowns are by 1. Very pretty much like the Japanese use them. So the armor card is radio equipped. Why is that necessary? Is because you only get 1. And it comes on turn 3. If you miss a couple stupid ass rolls, it won't come into play. Japanese, Scenario Special Rule 4. Again, these are very simple Scenario Special Rules at this point. Nothing crazy. Nothing, whacked off. But we will check number 2 in just a minute. Japanese initial snipers 2. Increase their sniper to 3 at the start of turn 3. Now, yeah, that's the Scenario Special Rule. To be honest with you, I really don't see the necessity for the sniper to start out as a 2, because technically it's only going to be a 2 for a player turn or a game turn, which, to be honest with you, your paratrop is probably going to send you spread all over hell and back. So the likelihood of there going to be any considerable amount of fire is pretty much nil on turn 2 and maybe even turn 3. So sniper of turn 2, he's going to have like, let's give him the benefit of the doubt, 2 shots at you. Again, green units, range of 3. Mediums, you may not even be in line of sight of the mediums. And so having that set to a sniper of 2 is rather pointless, because you don't get to set the sniper on until the end of the, I think, game turn or player turn. I think it's a game turn by the paradrop rules. So the sniper doesn't actually even show up until turn 2. So the turn 1 sniper doesn't really exist. Sniper turn 3, at the start of turn 3, whatever. Yeah, I'm not concerned with that. So let's take a look at those HBR paratrooper scenario special rules that Bounding Fire has in their rule set. And here we are, taken from my Bounding Fire thing, and they by Bounding Fire module, and this is also on the Bounding Fire website. They have all the rules, lots of good stuff there you could find, be educated, get to know it. As I read through the Bounding Fire different rule sections, scenario special rules, historical battle rules, whatever you want to call them, game rules, ASL rules for what they project, like the Polish leaders, the Polish OB, as we saw in Poland in Flames. Very mild variations on what the rule sets are and how to conduct your game. Japanese paratrooper rules are additional one of those. I actually got a big kick out of these particular rules. I just think they add a little bit more flavor. You're going to be moving anyway, so we're going to go over it just really quickly. Pretty much they drop they're elite. They drop as P-42 German paratroopers, so they drop at reduced strength, right? Many of you probably may not have played German paratroopers, but if you read the scenarios, there's a singular scenario special rule E9.7. It says, German paratroopers are like 228s or 2 whatever, and they run around and they get canisters and they rearm. It's very chrome, very heavy chrome in terms of things, and it represents them dropping with partially arms and locating arms canisters. So the way the rule represents, and a couple of their abilities are reduced, as you see here by the chart. Full strength is a 228. That's why all your guys are 228s. If you get reduced, if you get damaged, you're a 128. And then 128s go down to like freaking like 0-1-1-8 or some shit like that. Anyway, it gets bad. It gets bad to that point. Oh, here's half squad. You get 118 right here. So a 118, people. I mean, oh my God. Imagine running around actually getting stuff done as a 118. Anyway, very cool. Love the concept. It's, to be honest with you, it's just flair. Again, nice chrome to kind of represent what they had to go through. Doesn't really have a game effect in this specific scenario. It really does not. I think by the time turn 3 or 4 came around, I might have had one guy that was not armed, and I think it was a crew. And to be honest with you, 118 crew versus a 228 crew doesn't really matter. They're manning a machine gun anyway, right? Typically. So, anyway, essentially you walk, as all the different hexes, you roll a die at the end of the unit's movement phase, and the number of hexes it moves through, it's a -1 to the die roll modifier. It needs to roll a 1. So you move through 4 hexes, it's -4. You need to roll a 5 or less to be armed. So to get rearmed, not rocket science, not difficult to do. Sometimes you roll a 6, yeah, but that's the fun of it, right? So that's pretty much it. You see how the progresses here. You could pause it, see how they transfer in the whole 9 yards. Download the stuff from Bounding Fire Productions. Go to their website, check it out. If this interests you, it might pique your interest and look at some of their other scenarios and other game packs, and check out, how the rules apply in, the Poland in Flames and all the other Onslaught to Orsha and all the other stuff they have going on there. And some of those special rules might pique your interest. They're very simple, very easy to read, very easy to incorporate in the game. Again, this rule essentially will only last for like through turn 2 or 3, assuming you guys land on board. If you don't roll less than that by those times, based on the map, you'll see that. Then, yeah, I don't know. I don't tell you. So let's go ahead and go to the map of Langoan Airfield. All right, so here's the wide map of the Langoan Airfield. Of course, pre-game, as the Japanese player or the pair drop player, you must select your drop points. Drop points have to be at least 5 hexes away from the other previous drop point. And so there you have my setup here. I'll describe the choices why I made them up here versus down below. But in reference, let's retreat back to the victory conditions. So the victory conditions state, and the setup state, airfield locations. So, technically, airfields do not exist in ASL, but runways do. So, in terms of interpreting setup locations, obviously, this is what we're looking at, right? So you've got the runway hexes D9 through N4, E4 through M8. So those are runway hexes. Technically, they're not hard surfaces; they're dirt. Whether they're strictly defined as runway hexes, I don't think it got to that point for us. But what I was concerned about is these little fingers off to the sides. Technically, they're connected to the runway. And so would you consider that part of the airfield, which is a term that doesn't exist in the ASL rulebook? Jack just relied on the actual runway as his setup locations, which I figured most players would. But I could see, I mean, this is ASL after all, people trying to argue that these are part of the airfield, since this is a runway and not specifically an airfield, and this might be considered like the general overall airfield. So again, very minor. If you just go by assumptions, just use the runway and I think you'll be fine. It does make a difference in the setup though. Take for instance, if you did 2 hexes from the runway, right, you could set a bunker up into B9, but you couldn't set one up in H10. Whereas if you took the 2 hex distance from here, that will be a potential setup location. You probably, honestly, you probably don't want to set up your units in your bunkers in woods, or in this case jungle terrain, simply because it leads to ambush, and you need to maintain control of the jungle hexes, or the pillbox hexes. So most likely being out in the open will benefit you a little bit better. So as the paratrooper player, you don't know where the setup is. You kind of know where things are. Obviously, you need these 4 buildings here, right? Not rocket science. You need D7, E6, J8, and 2. So which ones do you think would be the easiest ones to pick up? Yeah, N2 should be a gimme. D7's probably a gimme. J8, it's kind of like in the middle of nothing. You've got a pond here, going to be difficult to get to if you land on the bottom. You got a swamp here, difficult to move through. Although not that big a deal, takes a full turn. And a little bit of jungle beneath it down here. So this is pretty much open. E6 you can get to. You can actually dash to it across the road because roads exist. So not too bad. E6 is doable. D7 very doable, very doable, very defendable. Okay, and then you've got your 3 bunkers, which are within 2 hexes of your airfield. Okay, / runway. We define it as a runway. So lots of places for the Japanese or the Dutch. I believe the Dutch in this case. I think they're represented as British. Yeah, British. So very good setup locations you can have, and again, it's a tight area for you to set up. So and they must set up on board 7A and hexes 18 and or no, that's wrong. Sorry, wrong one. Set up on board 38, which is the middle board. So set up on board between these 2 hex rows. And yeah, you're most likely just going to set up in this area. Most likely. I mean, there are reasons to set up in other areas, but you could set up, you're pretty much going to set up there. Because where's he got to come? The Japanese player has to come. You know where he's coming. He's coming here, 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 and your 3 pillboxes. That's it. Do you need to be over here? Nope, not really. So it makes it a simple setup for the defender. Your attacker, you as the Japanese pair drop player, makes it real easy. Pretty much you choose 3 locations. My locations were here, and during the analyses, again, if you look at your OB, you have 14 regular squads and 2 crews. I read a couple after action reports that had 4 drop zones. You pretty much can't do that. It has to be 3 because the 2 crews is a squad equivalent, and you pretty much have to set them up together to make it 5, to make it a squad equivalent. So you'll have, 5 squads, then 4 squads and 2 crews. Your leaders you'll distribute among them. I put both my leaders in my center one. Again, doesn't really matter if you drift way off the base, but I wanted most of my lead. I want 2 leaders to be centralized just in case, one flies to the left, one flies to the right. Then the other 2 sections will have, if one floats this direction and one floats that direction, and this leader here stays with the group and this leader here floats over that way, then my leaders will be evenly distributed and getting guys on task. Support weapons, of which you have 9. I divvied them up evenly, 3, 3, and 3. My selection of dividing the support weapons up, in hindsight, was probably less than nominal, but you have to make some assumptions on your drop, i.e., everybody doesn't float off the board. So I did both my mediums and the demo here. That's my heavy weapons section. Again, it's going to land in this area, theoretically, and then the heavy weapons section will make its way down this way. It's got good cover. Takes a little while to get through because it is kunai, and so your rearming might be a little slower compared to the 1 movement factor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You just CX, and then you'll be rearmed here. Pretty much, it's 2 hexes, 50% chance of rearming, 2 hexes. But it is good cover. You won't really get shot at. Not a big deal to roll those. You do have a couple, grain here you can bypass for another -1. Again, not too bad. And I put it in this location here just in case. And I set the drift to be these directions for my pair drops, and you'll see that later. Just to kind of minimize. If I drop in here and break, big deal. It is what it is. Most of the terrain is not breaking terrain. I didn't want to drop in the center board because there's lots of bad areas. Ponds. I mean, this is a really area that you need to be concerned about. You could legit just land in a pond and bye-bye Japanese player. So, and the one on the bottom, the area on the bottom, let me move that. Area on the bottom here, I chose to ignore. You don't really have to be honest with you, because he can't sit up there. But I always like to have rally points. Not that the Japanese really need them because they'll be depleted, but this would be a pretty nice area. Kind of drop in just to have some cover. So if you just want to run around looking for weapons, that's fine. I would not drop over here simply because if you get stuck in the middle of this, it's like dropping off board. You're just taking 3 turns to get out of that kunai. Not that good. So your really only choice would be areas down here, which is very equivalent to the top one. But as you see, if you want to progress onto the board, if you land in these areas, then what do you have for cover? You got a nice kunai field here. good jumping off point to go here and here. You know, some jungle here, a little bit here, and not really a lot over here, but you do have hindrances. It does look terrible, but to be honest with you, I think it's very, very playable to drop a guy down here. You know, just in case, you know, if he puts all of his pillboxes on the bottom, knowing that you're going to take the terrain on top, you know, that might make this one much more easier to attack him. So it all depends on what your opponent's going to do. So and over here, the last group right here, I put all 3 LMGs in this group, i.e. anti-tank, right? Turn 1, my guys will drop. They'll get dispersed, you know, various hexes, 5 locations. Turn 2, they'll run around, and essentially they'll try to run around, and what they'll do is they'll kind of line up over here, in there, maybe here, so they can't be overrun. In the other bamboo, again, so they can't be overrun. When you look at it, again, this is another point that you need to make, and to make sure you know what you're going to be up against. This unit right here, take a look at that unit. It's an armor fighting vehicle. What else do you see specifically with this weapon? Rate of fire 2, breakdown 11. AA machine gun is a 6. On the back side of this weapon, it says a 12.7 millimeter or 12.7 AA machine gun. The problem with that is this is not a half track nor a carrier. It is considered an armored car. And so therefore, removing the machine gun, which I've read a couple of AARs, they removed it as a 50 caliber. From what I understand in reading the rules in terms of you essentially have to abandon this vehicle, and when you abandon this vehicle, taking the machine gun, and again, you have to look at the vehicular rules, and this is considered, you know, a Dutch vehicle it has a reference to a Chinese vehicle, I believe. And it does not mention that the machine gun is removed as a 50 cal. So therefore, when you abandon it, pretty much an LMG, people. So so keep that in mind. Another thing to keep in mind, what does that mean? You usually don't see that, especially on a small armor car personnel like that. That is high ground pressure. So it's going to be more easier for you to bog. The red factors here. The star, I simply think that it means it uses, this armor car uses truck expenditures, which is huge. Don't think this is an armor fighting vehicle in terms of being tracked. So always make sure you get those little boobs hanging down. Some vehicles are difficult to spot, but read your notes, you'll figure that out quite easily. And so say, Stu, who cares? You know, it's PTO, you just cruise through this crap like nothing. Yeah, no. For the most part, with your 20 movement points, yeah, if you follow the road, it's a road, right? Because roads exist, you're going to be flying on the road. You can make it to the airfield in one turn. Again, that's why I want to put my people here with LMGs, and he's closed-top, he's open-topped, and so he'll have to be closed-topped, which is not going to be a problem from running by anyway. But my LMGs will take anti-tank shots against him with an armor factor of 1 or 0. It's quite possible with the +2 to kill at 1 hex range, you could destroy him. You could literally destroy the tank if you get all 3 of your LMGs into these positions. Something like this. And what that does is it stops him from going this way, because he's there in 1 turn. And then he parks in the middle of the airfield. Probably right here. And then he just shoots everything within range. Or he parks a little bit further away, and now your LMGs can't shoot him, and he's shooting at 6. 6 minus 2, 6 minus 1 if you're assault moving with a rate of fire 2. That's going to deplete your forces pretty quickly. again, turn 3. You should be getting to the airfield when that vehicle is going there, if you don't land on the airfield. So say, Stu, why does he just go through the kunai? It's no big deal. Just fly right through there. Yeah, you know. Kunai, I believe, if you look on the movement point factor costs, are 6. So for him with movement factor of 20, he can burst down here. Let's say it costs him 6 movement factor points to go there. That's 12. That's 18. There he is. The best part about that is you could probably run him down with your infantry if you're near him in this vicinity. You could run him down because he's only moving 3 hexes per turn. You can move 2 hexes in advance. You could catch up with him. So very dangerous for him to go through this area because he goes very slowly. And again, these are 1 movement factor for infantry for the palm trees. It's like 5 for the truck expenditures. So it's quite pricey. So, and that's the entire top board. And they can't, I think it's all through the jungle. I don't think they can go through the bamboo at all. So it's pretty treacherous. And both of you should understand the movement factor, movement point expenditures of that vehicle, because that will determine what paths he can actually take. And he does come from the top. You know, there's a road network here, but there's only one road that goes through that board. And if he wants to get there using that run road and not be delayed 2 to 3 turns, you know, over here, then you'll have to do that. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Paradrops speak for themselves, and this is why I chose the top over here. LMGs, anti-tank, mortars, just general centralized mortars. Maybe send a mortar this way, mortar this way, mortar that way, and start smoking stuff. We'll see how that goes. And our heavy weapons here, simply to approach through the cover here, and see what happens. Pretty much take it to try and get a hold of these 2 down here. They're the closest, probably the most heavily defended, and yeah. So that was the idea. Anyway. That's about all I got. There's really nothing else that really is tricky in this one. You know, it's a beautiful board. It's used beautiful use of palm trees, essentially soft cover for you to land in. Soft cover back here in the kunai to land in. Open ground's about as soft as you're going to get. Hell, even the objective hex, you could land all 3 of your guys right here and just go to town. I think that would be very intriguing. You could actually run through it pretty quickly to see how effective that might be. But again, die rolls withstanding. You need 1 through 3s on these guys. If you don't get those, you'll drift around the board. And we shall see that during the replay. But anyway, let's go ahead to the replay and see how it goes. All right, so here we are. Starting off, putting the wings. Is it wings? Yeah, whatever. The 5 groups of 5 squads. Wings, we call them whatever you want, but we know what they are. It looks like when I was describing what I was going to land, this is A, B, and C. You probably can't see them, but A, B, C, you can label them. All these are labeled just C. And I think I moved them to the cloaking display later. I'm not sure. But anyway, this is kind of the setup. This is the log file. And let's see how much stuff I'll have to delete off of this log file. So all the troops are here. You got 5 squads. 5 squads. Scroll on over. 4 squads and 2 crews, which are equivalent to a squad. They're going with Takagi. We got Inoue and Kato in the middle, and Mato at the right-hand side. So let's see if this log file just kind of rolls along. So bear with me, and we shall have I think it's my first ever Japanese drop. I kind of suck as the Japanese, or maybe like all nationalities, but the Japanese, again, I think the Japanese are more like, all right, you're a badass, do some shit for me, and it's like an ugly girlfriend. She never pans out. So, let's see what happens here. Okay, yeah, it looks like I go to the, I throw them on the cloaking display. Let's go find that cloaking display somewhere. All right, so it is the cloaking display is the CD large little icon thingy. I'm not sure really why it's like a little icon. Why it can't be written out like the other ones, casualties bins, OBA, flow chart, whatever. I found it. So A through E are these bad boys. I simply just put the demo of the support weapons where they are. You'll see me pop around and rearrange some of these guys. I'll put the weapons by themselves, and then the support weapons, or not the support weapons, but the units actually on the side. So therefore, it will indicate that those extra little support weapon personnel boxes will necessarily need the associated parachutes with them. So anyway, that's the cloaking display. That's where they all disappeared to. This guy will get distributed. So let me just tap through. You'll see that, maybe not. Okay, that shouldn't tab down, but whatever. And I mean, let me put this on the side. This is not working. So I'm just rearranging them there, and I'll show you what my final setup is once that gets done. All right, so here's my cloaking display here. This should be over here. Again, support weapon, personnel. You know, you got Takagi, you got just lone guys here. I kind of rearrange this later. This guy should be somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe he's a duplicate. Because there's 5, 10, 14, and then the cruise. So he's a duplicate. Hopefully I didn't add him early in the war. Anyway, pretty much every single thing is going to be exactly the same with the exception of some leaders. But we'll get to that again. This is very, you don't really need to see this per se. Just note that it goes A through E, G through K. I'm not sure the yellow over here. You figure we'll just go in groups of 5, but you know, 8.5 by 11, whatever you could squeeze on there. So you'll see A, B, and C. It'll be A row, B row, C row, I think. So that's what we're going with, and there you go. So on the arrows here, the little arrows I put here are the direction of where my approach is going to be, because you could choose any direction. That is the direction I want it to be. You can go down, left, right, up, sideways, into the board, outside the board. But that's, and I scooted this one over just a little bit more just to keep them nice and tight. So, and maybe I pushed them a hex more north, because the mild breeze will blow them down. So if this guy here, let's say he lands there, unlikely, but he gets blown downwards. So if I drift 3 hexes down, which is about half, and then the other 2 have put me on that board. So with the drifting down, you can really make it tight to one board or the other. And so yeah, you can anticipate the wind direction blowing you there. So a little bit more control than your actual counterparts would have. So as you see here, after I've just shown my drop zones, because you pick your drop zones before the enemy unit or the enemy reveals the board. So Jack had sent me a setup. I said, hip all your dudes. And that way, when we show up, I can throw my guys out there declare my drop zones without having to write it down and, you know, delay notes bullshit. That's unnecessary. He just describes where his guys are. Remember, scenario special rule says the bunkers come on at the end of player turn 1 or game turn 1. Regardless, I can't do anything to them anyway. And the other thing that we did is, obviously, since you don't pair drop a lot, we just pretty much just walk through the rules. I gotta be honest with you, it's one of the rule sections that you can do that, and just walk through the rules. It's all out of your hands anyway. It's not like you can, oh, I'm gonna go drift over here a little bit more. Yeah, you got 1 hex drift on all nationalities. The Japanese are not one of them. So everything will be completely random until your ass falls on the ground. And then hopefully you won't break your legs. So just read through the rules, get them straight, get them going, defensive fire, the whole 9 yards. Now remember, let me go on here, that if and when the enemy fires upon your paratroopers, he does not lose concealment in most paradrop scenarios, simply because no ground units have a line of sight to the firer. So if you don't have any ground units on the map, he doesn't lose concealment to anybody that he has. All right? It's pretty much as simple as that. And, I mean, if you gotta say, oh, yeah, I've got a HMG, I'm gonna let your ass up. He's right here. This is the range. You have to still verify that information. But loss of concealment is what you're looking at here. It's not rocket science. I know what his OB is. You know, I could figure out, oh, look, there's a stack of 3, probably has a support weapon or a leader, you know. His leaders, you know, might be elsewhere. All these guys are single counters. They're either going to be dummies or real units. And to be honest, doesn't matter. Because you can't influence any of that. Your guys are going to drop wherever the hell they want to. And you'll see exactly how that happens. All right, so let's continue on. We are talking about, again, converse with your opponent on the special rules. Don't just assume both of you know what the hell you're doing, because you probably don't. Just talk about the special rules. Say, hey, how do you think this one's done? And that's exactly what I did with Jack. I say, hey, Jack, how did you treat the airfield misnomer in the scenario special rules and the victory conditions? He said, I treated the runway, pretty much the dirt runway, that's not really a runway, as my setup limitations and etc. etc. I say, fine, that's exactly what I thought you would do, and then you just proceed from that. Honestly, doesn't really make that much of a difference, because let's say he did it off of the end pieces. Let's say he did it off of the end piece like here, and let's say he set up a pillbox right here, which will be visible at the beginning of the turn. You just simply move it closer, if that wasn't the understanding, okay? And 1 hex or the other doesn't really matter. Again, you're pair dropping, and whether it's 1 hex or the other, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. You can if you want to, if you really need to. But and then again, the other scenarios we talked about. Well, I talked about scenario special rule 4. Now it's kind of pointless, but that's just your pre-game discussion. You should need to have a pre-game discussion and take your time in it, right? You don't need to rush through it. You don't need to say, oh, what do you think about this? And definitely go over your victory conditions. And ours are very simple, you know, control 7 hexes or 7, you know, location. The pillboxes you got to control, which means you need to go into the pillboxes. And the buildings, obviously, you just occupy. We don't have any vehicle. Well, I don't have any vehicles, so I just got to go into the buildings. And once I go into them, I control them. I mean, it's not rocket science here. So let's continue putting the dudes down. Again, red dots, so that's wind change. And these are my 3 fine rolls. Let me pin them. 3 fine rolls of, do you land? Hell no. Do you land? No, no, no. That's 0 for 3. I'm used to it, to be honest with you. Don't have to like it, but I'm used to it. So none of them land where they need to be. So what you do then, gentlemen and ladies, is that arrow, where are you going to go? You are going to go on board 1, 2, or 3. So 1, 2, 1, 2 for this board, 3, 4, and then 5, 6 down there. So you just simply roll for the next one. Let's tab through this crap. Board 3. So that means he's going to enter on the mid board. And then as you see, where is it? Does it show up? 35L5. Oh, I just put it like on the 5 row right there. It doesn't land there per se, but I just kind of put it aside, and then we'll choose the drift counters later. And then the next one was a 1, so he landed up top. So, or actually A, B landed on this board, and C landed on the top board. So now we choose via this right here, the A through GG. That is what will select the hex row for you. So again, not rocket science. Just use that little feature. That's about the only thing it'll ever be used for. And select your one. So the first one is, and I'm just deleting those yellow ones. Chit generator is GG. Wow. What does that mean? You just got screwed. So my GG, it's actually below. And remember, I'm going to be pointed that direction. So 2 of my guys are already off board. Hopefully they can drift on board. So that is the GG hex row. And then you do the random direction from there, right? And then we've got B5 down here. Again, another beautiful spot. That's what it's going to look like when my guys go down. And then let's go to the other guy. Oops, sorry. And then this one, T. I think this one ended up, yeah, T. And so, hey, that's like the only normal one. So my guys will kind of be, well, after the random direction thing, they'll be kind of set up like that. So not horrible. I'm not going to be that far away. And then we go from there. So the drift at this point, I'm not sure which one we do first. Oh, the joy. Well, we'll have to switch it to the other side. There we go. So A goes, remember, he started at B row. He goes direction 5, 4 hexes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have to do a fancy finagling. So he lands off board. So it's like, oh, great. I got to change all this shit. Put down the grid. Got to move everything. And, yeah, this is not the best drop that you want to have. So that is where one of my wings is going to be popped. Yeah, not good. And the next wing is down through here. They did a drift on this one. Not a bad spot. Gotta admit, 1 out of 3 is not bad. Let's swing that around. And this one goes there. And didn't we not do a drift on this one? Oh, we did. It went from GG to FF5, so it came 1 hex over. It was this one here, 5-1. See that? 5-1. It came 1 hex over. So we're going to unpin that so the dice fall off the map. So, yeah, at the best. I mean, all these guys could legit float off the board. Actually, this one might be okay. Guaranteed okay. Simply because of whatever. And remember, once your drop things go on there, you could rearrange your guys wherever. There's nothing in the rules saying, actually, you could just, yeah, you could put K, J, whatever. Doesn't say they have to line up exactly the way you do. It says you pick the drop spot, which in this case is like the center one for me. And then you put your guys down. It doesn't say from highest to lowest or anything like that. You just put them on. I tried to find a description where it says, you know, A through E, you put them in order. Doesn't really say that. Unless I miss something. You know, sometimes I read shit 3 o'clock in the morning and not good. So here's the fun part over here. These units over here are drifting. And they're drifting all over the turn record chart. So you know these guys are pretty much screwed. Let's turn that over there. Remember, the drift distance is half. So as you saw, maybe I'll back that up a little bit. Do you see these right here? Oh, you can't. Oh my God, seriously? So we have counters here, and counters here. No, that's just the center. So we've got our 3 counters here, here. And so what I did is, this is way too far. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, turn 5. Maybe I shouldn't have eliminated them, but I just picked them up and threw them away. I picked them up, tossed them. It's like, you're way too far off. To be honest with you, the 5 guy, it would take him 5 turns to get there. I gotta be honest, I needed that squad. So, even if he's 5 hexes off, I mean, honestly, I hadn't even seen that. He was like right here, wasn't he? So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then advance. So he could be on the board on turn 5, and I think this is a 7-turn scenario. So we have 2 victory locations here, and as you see at the beginning of the game, the pillbox will be here. And so tossing that unit, I hadn't actually thought about that until just right we're doing the replay. And again, this is something you could learn from your replays. Did you screw up? Did you do something good? Or did your opponent do the same? Screw up or do something good, or both? In retrospect, that's a screw up. It's going to cost me a guy, and you'll see exactly why. All right. So let's continue the distribution. And again, all the support weapons were not landing with my guys. I'm not going to spend 1 turn going 1 hex to go back further off. Excuse me. Further off the map. I'm not going to go. God damn it. I'm not going to go that way and then spend a turn going back this way. Because at that point, that would be turn 7 to be over here. And then guess what? We only have 7 turns. But if I can get on turn 4 or turn 5, that will give me 2 to 3 turns of movement. Maybe it will help out, maybe not. But yeah, that was definitely a mistake there. So my bad. Continuing on, let's just who's next? Who's next in this disaster at the Dynamo Loop? All right, AC, what are we doing here? Oh, I think we deleted that, or yeah, anyway. We're rolling dice over here on this side. Oh, we're doing the top right, which you can't see because of that. So here, these guys are drifting all over hell and back. And they go down 2. Again, not bad. Look at N right here, right? He can just move on next to the first turn. So for all intents and purposes, if you're 1 hex off the board or 2 hexes off the board, remember the rule. Like if you're over here, if you drop here, you get to move 1 hex. Let me zoom in just a little bit. You get to move 1 hex, and then you get to advance on the board just as if it were your turn. So obviously this would turn into a unit. It would be concealed because it's off board. You would move 1 hex, and then at the end of that turn that you moved, you may advance onto the board. So to be honest with you, this is 2 turns out. And this is the same turn out because you could just move onto the board. So don't despair when your units are off. So like these guys aren't really off that far. E's right here. You got A, so they're going to take a turn, and they're going to move 1 that way, right? And then he's going to advance, and he's going to advance. So Not a big deal. Hopefully that didn't screw up the log. I'm pretty sure it probably did. So upper right corner, these guys disperse. And then we got, and then the bottom, the T row. These guys actually disperse the most out of all three. They got the best position, but look at this dispersal pattern. I mean, that's jacked up. I mean, this again, remember what we talked about being dropped in the middle of the friggin' kunai? Yeah, that's not a good spot to be. Really doesn't get you anywhere. B, I think B landed on the board. I think I actually forgot this guy. It's like, damn, I don't know. So B landed on the board. Everybody else lands off. The parachutes are going to be jacked up on this side over here. So my task checks are really good. I roll snake eyes on task checks. So this is when you're landing. You do the reverse mirror image of whatever. To be honest with you, the paratroop rules do not sufficiently describe the mirrored direction on which you project the terrain going off the board. I remember a discussion a couple years ago. I think probably when I did Rachi Ridge. So that's probably what, 5 to 7 years ago. Because guys drift off board, and it's like, wait, you can't use the glider rules that it references you to, because the gliders have one direction they move, and that's into the wind, right? And so you project it based upon all that crap. Well, the problem is when the paratroopers divert off the board, I mean, these two units here, if I could have two units here, one could divert this way and one could divert from the opposite direction, essentially from direction 4 or 5, and one from direction 6, and they can land at the same spot. Like that, like this. Like one guy could come from this direction, drifting off, and say if your stick was going up and down, one guy can come this way, and you guys could land in the same spot, like right here. Well, this is going to be mirrored from based on these rows, and this one's going to be mirrored based on these rows. So even though they land in the same spot, they're landing in different terrain. In this case, they probably wouldn't be. But so that's the easiest way to do it. Just whatever direction your guy goes off board, if you can remember, then just use that direction. Or I don't know, because it's just insufficient. Let's just say that it is insufficient, because let's say you were landed right here on the top corner, right? So you landed right there in the top corner, and then you got a guy dropping north, you got a guy dropping that way, you got a guy dropping that way, you got a guy dropping that way, and then you got a guy dropping this way, and then the wind blows him that way. The terrain that's going to be used for this is going to be 5 different. Actually, I don't even know what the hell would happen, because if you went this way, if you drifted that way, I don't know. It's just a nightmare. Just do it whatever direction you drift off the board. And if not, then just go with your gut, because the rules really don't explain it. Sorry, I don't want to waste any more time on that garbage, on a poorly executed rule, to be honest. So, yep, we drop. Essentially, this is just all task checks. I'm just going to burn through this. Everybody's burning task checks. And then you remove the advanced phase. You can look at the ASOP on when to remove the parachute counters. And so Takagi, and guess what? Both the crews are on the map. All the machine guns are off. So we have the weakest units in my force with one of my strong leaders. And there you go. So bunkers come on. This is the end of the turn. This is Robmond. I think he moved from the trench into the trench, moved from the trench, whatever. But anyway, that's one of the trenches. Obviously, the other pillboxes will have a trench as well. So just defensive firing, not really doing much. Again, as I'm going to take my turn, and again, I start down here at this guy here. This is a full squad, mind you. 228 is a full squad. So he's busting ass. You just CX and you run through 3 hexes. You roll a die. Here's the die roll. Bam. Where is it? Where's the other die roll? It must have been the 3 right here. 58 must have been his recovery die roll. And so therefore, that turns him into a 448. And you just move. At the end of your movement, at the end of that unit's movement phase, you roll a die, because otherwise you won't be able to remember how many hexes everybody else moved into. He moved in 3 hexes, rolls a die. You roll 1 based on your minuses, and he just doubles. He doubles in size. So it's as simple as that. It's kind of inconsequential, but it's fun just to roll some dice, whatever. And then we're just doing some recoveries. We're just coming here to pick up all our support weapons, and so on and so forth. So most of these guys, like right here, we've got a 448. He passed. The other bozos didn't. Here didn't pass. Here didn't pass. Yeah, I'm inept. I can't roll for shit. I think he did pass. Maybe I didn't roll. You'll see me divvying them up. And then we got the upper right corner here. And these guys pretty much grab a support weapon and then bust ass. Just CX, 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 CX. And I think all of these, see, he makes it 448. 238s, these are half squads because they failed the task check. So they made it, which actually convenient because they picked up support weapons, 448 made it, 238 made it, 238 made it, 448. So all these guys made their weapons recovery rolls. Pretty simple. Again, if you start out in 1 movement factor terrain, burn through it, it's guaranteed if you double time. It didn't say that the counter exhausted modifier counts. I didn't count it, so didn't really say that it did. So guess what? Didn't count. Not gonna do it. Then we got some just regular fire over here. They've got nothing else to do but shoot this unit. Unfortunately, he malfunctioned his medium machine gun. And everybody else he's just sitting there. Well, he actually took one of the buildings. And he actually became a 228. This guy here still a 118. 1 firepower. Yes. That is a real unit. And he's going up against a crew, which is, he's got half his firepower. That's the funniest part. You've got a unit like this, and, leader in here, this guy's going to get his ass kicked. I mean, it's as simple as that. So continuing on, again, most of the allies' turn is going to be just stagnant, sitting around, not doing much. Gurkha, should they be? Oh, yeah. I'm looking at something else. So, he's just kind of doing the shuffle show of maybe leaders and support weapons here. So, and this guy actually comes on. He rolled his recovery off board. Again, it didn't state that you had to be on board to roll your canister recovery. So I moved to a different hex off board and then rolled the die. It doesn't say that you have to be on board. It's just how many hexes you entered. Technically, I moved 1 hex off board, 1 space. So I made my roll, to help it. It's kind of stupid if this is just general terrain and you have to wait till you're on board to make the roll. I mean, come on, you got to use a little bit of common sense here. This unit got encircled. He's picking on my guy. He's just in palm trees. So not really any terrain to speak of here. With no range, this building does no good. If I had 448s, take the building, move to the next one, then you have range to shoot shit. These guys don't have any range. Oh, he's a full squad. So they need to recover weapons before stuff happens. This one recover weapon on his die roll of 3. So we continue on. All those guys move. All the guys in the upper right have recovered already, so don't really need to do any paperwork with them. Guys on the bottom, you see me as the units kind of pop out, I replace them. What I do is I show my opponent, here's the unit I'm taking out, here's the unit that's going in, and put them back under the concealment. That's pretty much that. So LMGs, it looks like the LMGs got on the bottom. Not sure why, But that, oh yeah, they maybe be in the middle group. They're on the bottom, mortars on the top, and all the heavy weapons were destroyed or essentially not recovered off board. Again, over here, not bad, I gotta be honest, in terms of what I need to get done. You know, I got 2 objectives here, a 3rd objective, and a 4th objective. Literally, these guys have to move like 5 or 6 X's to get their shit done. Unfortunately, it's going to be 3 squads and 2 crews. But, hey, they got to get the job done. They are green units. He's pretty weak wherever he is. And I'm the Japanese, so let's see what happens. So their task, obviously, because when you do paratroopers scenarios, their task, these 4 victory conditions. That's it. You're not going anywhere else. Most likely, these 4 are under your control. Bottom right, what's your guys' objective? So, bottom right is going to possibly assist this way, but most likely just push this way. So we've got 1 objective in front of us and a 2nd objective right behind that. This is pretty a powerful group. We have lots of firepower. This should be obtainable. And the top group, let me see where it is. Oh, no. The top group is actually a little bit more specialized. Remember, they'll obviously have to handle N2. They obviously have to take this one. I mean, the other guys could handle it, but it's right there. It's, I think, unlikely that's going to be defended pretty heavily. His bunk is already on the map. Kind of looks like he doesn't really care about that particular victory condition. So this should be pretty simple to get to. And since most of this up here is open ground, not open ground, but easy ground to pass, right? This all 1 movement factors until we hit this spot here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, advance. 1, 2, 3, 4, advance. So 2 turns we could be over here. Again, these units, because the units on the left-hand side were depleted with no support weapons, we need mortars. These are our mortars here. We'll need the mortars, at least 1 here to drop smoke into these areas. Maybe 1 in the central area just to shoot in different ranges. And then 1 in the last area over here to smoke this area. So again, remember what I was talking about? You probably don't. But my mortars, maybe distribute your mortars if you play this one for each group. So therefore, each group has a smoke making capability that's a little bit more reliable than the 2 die, or the 1 die roll, the 1 or 2 on the Japanese full squads. So that's something that you might take into consideration. You could do it however you want. But that's my suggestion. LMGs, again, if they're all split up, you pretty much only need LMGs on one side because the vehicle is really not going to have an impact on this left-handed group simply because of the path it needs to take. And you'll see that. You'll see that soon enough. So anyway, we're making our advances. Remember, each troop, and then paratrooper scenarios, you really, really, really are going to be split from one another like these guys are. So assign them tasks. You do this, and that's it. Once that gets done, we go on to something else. And pretty much that's what I try to do. So these guys pile up here. There's a whole shitload of guys. Again, they do the failed task check, split them up, makes it easy for a human wave or a bonsai attack. So these guys essentially just get into a position. And let me just remove that. Let's see, I don't think I can. Well, I can. Dice over the map. So, I just moved closer to this guy. You know, I think he was he final fired, rolls a 10, breaks. So, and then I'm going to human, once he defensive fire, I'm going to human wave with the leader and the bonsai charge the leader and the crew. So leader goes to the left. That's a straight shot. He gets a hex range. And then definitely do this. Put your movement factor tracker down every time. That way it's very easy. Put your human wave counter down. This is straight down. Don't really need to worry about arrows or angles, but sometimes you do. I do a little trick later on. Medium machine gun fires, and interestingly enough, that is 11 hexes. Range 11. Do you see this? Range 11, which means my leader's outside of the range. So he gets to fire. He gets rate of fire. And so I swap directions with these guys because I kind of want the bonsai unit to honestly to jump onto this broken dude. Takagi now is in range. He gets shot. Now they just kind of move down. I think this is illegal. Takagi's move, I believe, is illegal. Simply because, remember, when you're moving, I moved from here to there. He has to go here before he can go back to the range. Because you can't go here to there and then go here to there because you're moving adjacent to a hex that you had already been entered in a previous turn, and it's not the one you're leaving. So what the idea I was trying to do with this is to slow him down from getting there, essentially not making it. You can't do that. You have to go out, forward, and then come back in and possibly even go that way. But you can't come right back. You have to go forward. Okay? So very subtle difference. I thought I was being smart. I was being stupid instead and ignorant of the rule. So that's, I think you'll see the same thing in the upper area where the Blood and Jungle booklet of the game scenario pack is. So anyway, bonsai these guys. I don't know much to bonsai with, but he doesn't have much to defend with. It just gets my leader there with a higher morale and the other unit with a higher morale, and just to engage these guys as quickly as possible. Again, this is strictly, if that's a leader in there, it's 1-to-1. I mean, it's nothing to spit at. So these guys, fire, fire, fire. No quarters declared. I don't want to capture this guy. It's a crew, right? So I don't want to capture. It will bird beat. So it's like, Plus, I don't. He's really not going to rally anyway. They're green units. If I isolate his leaders, one of them's here, it'll die. I presume that the other ones are leaders as well. So these leaders are only going to be at the pillboxes. So once the leaders at the pillboxes, everybody else can just break. They're never going to rally. So that's what we're doing there. Objectives. Know what your friggin' objectives are, people. Okay. Is that an objective? Let me zoom in. Let me zoom in to comedy hour. What's my objective over here? First of all, I'm depleted on this side. I lost a squad. I have no weapons. Our objective is here, 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 and here. And that's it. He can have 50 squads. We don't give a shit. We need to take our objectives. Bunkers are difficult to take. There's no reason on this planet that unit needs to jump that green unit. Yes, the green units, dude. He sucks. You know, they suck in close combat, yada, yada, yada. But that's an ambush roll. And anytime you add an ambush roll to the mix, you pretty much screw yourself. I actually had a net 1 advantage on that. Still got ambushed, I think. Or maybe I didn't get ambushed. But think of it this way. 448 doesn't do me any good. The 8 morale does me no good in close combat. Why am I there? He's a 437. He's not going to do shit to these guys. Right? 8 morale. It's going to bounce off him. I go into the building. He can't do anything to me. 4+2. Shoot all day. I don't care. You need a 4. And about a third of those rules are going to be double cower. So, yeah, essentially, for all intents and that you're going to be immune to his fire in D7. And he can't really reach down here because you have a hindrance right here. So you're going to be 2+3 down here. So don't really need to go in there. I should have gone up here. So that should means be a 4 even. Not really going to do anything. And see what the hell these things are. Maybe kill this thing up here. Again, probably a leader. Kill the leader first. We'll be in the trench. And then take our damn sweet time and destroy that unit. Just in case one of these guys comes over this way. Just in case they say, oh, we need to go get that. That way you could first fire, subsequent first fire, the whole 9 yards. All right. So focus on your objectives. He can lose every single unit in the game. Every unit in the game. And if you don't get one of those objectives, you lose. You don't need to kill anybody. Incidental deaths, whatever. But you don't need to go after people. And I did. And guess what? Close combat roll of 3. It happens. And I lose my elite unit to a green little bastard. It's kind of embarrassing, to be honest with you. So I said to myself, I said, oh shit, it's going to be hard over there now. Because, you know, these guys are half squads. And, ooh, exciting. I get increased sniper roll. So this crew was gone. And then we advance on the leader. And then I wipe the leader out as well. And I don't mind being on top of the bunker. Of course, you have to be on top of the bunker. He has a green unit here, 2x range. He's likely in an entrenchment. Or a foxhole, rather. Not an entrenchment, but a foxhole. And, yeah. I have 2 firepower. His sniper's like 4 or something like that. I don't really think I ever fire on this unit until I get like the medium machine gun. There's no point to. 2 plus 2. You need a 3. All you're going to do, I think his sniper may be a 3. Yep, his sniper is a 3 over here. So all you're going to do is activate a sniper, and he's going to pass the brown check anyway. And you don't really want to lose your leaders off of a worthless roll. Make him come to you. He needs to now go this direction. Once you occupy the pillbox, he needs to come after you. And you really don't need to move anywhere. You really don't. So those guys are staying there. All the other guys are achieving their objectives. Let's zoom out a little bit, see how the other guys are doing. All right, so we've got, again, this is pretty active over here simply because these guys were engaged first. You know, you're getting in there, some guys are being pinned. And we're first firing down the bottom right. He's got his medium machine gun. Guy breaks. Not a big deal. Japanese crews break. I don't care. Look at all. I got 3 broken units. What am I going to need to rally? You're in jungle. And you have your Commissar Kato. So you're going to have a 10 to rally at the beginning of the next rally phase. Doesn't matter if these guys break. It just doesn't matter. So keep that in mind. So there's our 9. I guess I roll a 12. Gets rid of one of them. So yeah, 8, 9, 12. That's pretty much how it's going to go. Again, right here, we have a crew that didn't really get rearmed, but guess what? He's got a medium machine gun now. He doesn't need to move around. He's got enough firepower to do what he needs to do. So it kind of replaces one of the ones we just lost. And yeah, let's have a happy time. And then up the top over here, these 2 guys double time or just move normally. We're going to try to end around what the 448 should have been doing. What the 448 should have been doing, these units are going to do it for the 448. All right. So 1 unit fails, you replace them with the next. Let me zoom out just a little bit. This unit in the middle first fires, he actually becomes a big thorn in my side, simply because he's like far away from everybody, and it's hard to really put the pounding on him. Just moving units into position. This is the bonsai charge here. They're selecting this target, and this is the direction that I'm going to go. And so the back unit is the one that's generating the direction. And these units simply move forward. Again, you go to hex grain. I kind of want him to take him out so we could kind of split directions, but it doesn't really work that way. And we jump on it, and he's a dummy. So it's a good use of a dummy. Caused me to bonsai charge. Gets my units in a little closer. Actually, we could zoom in a little closer now. This is a little bit better. Yeah, now they're all on the board. So pretty much all the guys on the board. So again, the direction that you want to choose, it can cross that, and then you just go around it, right? I obviously can't go to the right here simply because we're going to hit swamp. Well, I could go to the right, but my units wouldn't be able to move any further. So we want to go this way. Again, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Guess what? Our 2, 3, 8, which 4 movement factors, gets into the enemy hex. And that's what you do it for. You make up the time, you make up the distance, and we have one leader for that. Luckily, our leaders were intact during the game, and we have our mortars ready to go. So, and they're all lax. Those guys are happy. We do the other bonsai down here. Straight line, human wave, direction. We split out one guy initially. So those are range counters. And then the other guy goes forward, and then the other guy goes to the right. I think he goes to the right. And this is movement factor 2. Oh, there he is right there. There's the right-hand side. 6. And then we got 7, 8 here. I think he gets vaporized. No, he just breaks. Then 7, 8. We don't have to go into there because we're done, but we are in nice position. So we have one broken unit, and the other two units are right next to him. So not too bad. Now this unit also bonsais because the Inoue can see the unit here. So let's do another row. So there's going to be the alternate hex row for the human wave. He has to go to it. You obviously can't go around it this way. So they both kind of zigzag. And he's already he's already fired. He really can't fire anybody. So that's pretty much a safe move. I tried to stay away from this 3 hex range. So that's why I went and moved into Q9. So that's a 4 hex range, a 2 minus 2. I think he fired on it and really didn't get a result. And again, that was after these units had moved, just in case they draws fire. And so we had 1, 2, 3 bonsais that turn. So possession markers here, of course, are here and here on the left-hand side for occupation. And then here he says, yep, nope. This is close combat. And guess what? I get ambushed because that's all I roll are 5s and 6s. He ambushes me quite handily and vanquishes me. Because why? Because it's hand-to-hand combat. Because I'm the attacker. So, again, another 448 vaporized. So, literally, that's half my force over here on the side was vaporized. Not good. Actually, this was a very, very good place. I hadn't actually thought that these units would be here at all. Simply because he had coverage from the other units. It caught me by surprise, to be honest with you. I was enjoying the game. You're analyzing your bonsais. You're analyzing where you guys are going. And it's like, okay, there might be a spot where a guy might be hidden somewhere. Probably J8. I have no clue. But this is a good spot. And so this ended up to being a half squad, which means there's another half squad somewhere. So guess what? This looks like a hot spot because there's a dummy right here. This may be a hot spot. So learn from your mistakes and project strength to where those other units might be. Okay? It's as simple as that. It was a good idea, and hand to hand, I think everybody dies over here except for my guy. So that was convenient. So the only one we control is this one here. A little Japanese symbol right here. That's the only one we control. Can we zoom in one time? Yep. We only control this one. We don't control this one yet because we didn't enter the pillbox. Let's continue on. Prep fire, pins, couple breaks. No, I break him over here because this is no quarter. He has to route. And unfortunately, this unit can't route in any direction. And so he just literally, he gets eliminated for failure to route. I'm creeping up behind him with the 238s. He's tagging me, bounces off as it should. We've got Mato and the other guys just sneaking up. I don't want to get caught in my pants down at N2, so we're going to sneak some guys up there. Advance. We're going to advance onto the bunker here. We're going to rearrange over here a little bit and down through here. We pushed one guy out there just to draw his fire. You know, that's all. And so he didn't enter N2 because guess what? I'm going to bonsai into N2. If he wants to stay hidden, he can stay hidden. This was a half squad up here. So, you know, if he could break me with the 2 firepower, so be it. You know, it's been done before, but I'm pretty strong there. And again, the bonsai will get me through N2. If N2 is empty, then it will get me into M2 and maybe even L1. So, something to think about. Use your bonsais to your advantage. Sometimes you can just totally use it for movement. So let's continue here. Oh, wait. What turn is this? Let me check to see what turn it is. Oh, did I pull on the side? Hold on. Let me see what turn it is. All right. So look at the turns. His tank came on. Matter of fact, his tank came on turn 3. Here it is up here. So he came on this direction, trudged through here, and he trudged through here again. I moved closer to him. And again, I didn't show this because it had no really impact. Nobody was fired at each other. And then, you know, if he stays within line of sight, I could send a tank hunting hero after him. That was the objective. But I think he moves out of my line of sight, puts him over here. So let's go find that other file. Oh yeah, it's still the same log. Just nothing was happening. So he drives right by me. He buttons up. Can't really do anything. And I fire on him with my medium machine gun, my captured medium machine gun. Try and destroy him. I think I miss. And so he just kind of parks. He parks and has a good time. One unit over here is broken. One was eliminated. The other one's broken. So we'll wait till his prep fire phase is over. And then we'll get back to the discussion. But here's everybody on the map now. Okay, foxhole there. It actually made a difference. You don't need to reveal the foxholes until your modifier is necessary to alter the results. This was the first time he needed to alter the result. So good spot for it. I'm pretty weak up there. I capture the pillbox. I believe I moved to multiple counter. These guys are ready to rock. Again, he parks his tank up here. Medium machine guns in the bunker. I'll just put the bunker there. Oops. So again, note on this vehicle here, you may not pull out the machine gun to use it as an HMG. From what I read in the rules. Could be wrong. I don't think so. So here we go. Mortars fire. We got the mortars in bits, and we've got medium machine gun here. Or not medium machine gun, but a vehicular machine gun here. We got a medium machine gun here. And we got another bad actor here and a 437 that's going to be in the way. So the mortars kick in and they start firing until the cows come home. And smoke, ready to fire, hit, smoke, ready to fire, hit, smoke, ready to fire. And it's like, screw it, I'll fire behind me in this area up here. And when that smoke drifts, it'll cover the 227. So when I bonsai next turn, I can possibly get to his X. So that was pretty cool. Very excited about the smokes. Put him in a strategic spot. Actually, another smoke went here. So I got 5 smokes from 2 mortars. And very enjoyable, to be honest with you. It's good to see something happen for right. Unfortunately, maybe 1 or 2 turns too late. So we bonsai here. He eliminates one guy with a nice 3. It happens, but there's the other hidden unit in that location. Let me zoom it down. There's the other hidden unit here in the location, which is fine. That means I just get a 2-to-1 on him. These guys break in the open. Maybe he can get to a leader. There's another bonsai going on the bottom, and they all jump out of the thingies. This guy goes down to the bottom, comes around the corner. So, and pretty much I used that route. I used this bonsai route. He came up here, 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 and here, versus going this way and here. Because what it did is it burned up movement points. It was 1, 3, 5, 6, 8. So for the leader to come out, it goes 1 to leave, 3, 5, 6, 8, and prevents this leader from having to go into this hex in case it's like a full squad or something like that. So I needed to use a different route for this unit to burn up the movement factors for this unit. Chew, chew, no chew. And this guy was, even though it's open grounds, it's still 8 movement factors. So, little thing you could do, again, he's here, he can go here, then he can go here and gets that range marker on him, and then he goes in direction, the same parallel direction of the bonsai, and now forward position is an enemy unit. He must enter, and he does so. And again, I did the same thing with the leader. I moved him out and then down because no one is in forward locations the entire time. So he doesn't have to enter enemy location until this spot, but he's out of MF. If he had jumped out and gone straight, he would have had to enter this location at 2, 1, 3, 5, 7. So this guy would have been 1, 3, 5, 7 right here if he took that straight route. And then our full squad here couldn't have the MF available to go into that hex. So most likely he would have continued on here in the middle of nowhere, which is useless. So planning your bonsai and human wave routes. It's tricky because essentially you're taking the most movement factor intensive route into consideration, and that's where your guys are going to go. And remember, they all spend the same movement factors per impulse. So sometimes you might get left out in the middle of the open where you thought you might be able to obtain a defensive position in decent terrain. So look it through, think it through, and then make your decision based on that. And the timing is also important, simply because you could possibly move another unit before and draw fire before your human wave or bonsai occurs. If enemy units are already depleted their firepower to an extent, essentially first fired, then you have their firepower. And guess what? If they are going to be the target of your next bonsai, it's unlikely, depending on the morale, that they will fire upon you again until you enter their hex. So try to bait the fire if you can. If you can't, then you'll need to rely on what the bonsai gives you. So we do another bonsai. I think I had 6 bonsais in this game. These guys are bonsaiing. Don't know who. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You'll see the line soon. I put lines out for everybody. They're bonsaiing these guys. He comes out. He gets broken. Oh yeah, the 12. 12 is not so good because your cows you reduce, and then you'll break. And so essentially, I went from a 4-4-8. My 4-4-8s didn't really have a good game. They all pretty much got their asses kicked anytime they engaged the green units. So again, keep track of the movement factors and just put it next to the bonsai trail. It's really easy. 2, 3, and this guy, 4. He gets a range counter. I think he should have had one on it before. 5. And again, guess what? I can't even enter that location. So I'm not obligated to. And so in this case, I could just continue moving. We're just discussing the different directions I can go. Because neither one of us can actually enter this location, you are not required to. So had this unit been unbroken, he would charge this way and simply go around him. I wanted this guy to actually end up like an I3. And the leader here would split and get a range marker. I think he may have needed a range marker right here. Rewind this about 2 or 3 minutes. I think the leader was, if the leader's here, he's fine. If he's here, then that's too far. So that would be illegal. So I wanted to get him a range marker and then just run straight down the runway. And then maybe next turn, we can get next to the smoke. Again, actually, this is open ground. So, but, we've got, oh, no, it's not, because it's right down the hex row right here from the machine gun. So we got smoke everywhere. So everywhere we're running, we'll have smoke. And guess what? You'll see it in a minute. Let's find out what turn this is. Turn 6. I've got one more turn. About the beginning of this turn, I realized that I lost the game. And how did I lose the game? Because I need to obtain control of a bunker. So if I don't get there this turn, so if this unit doesn't get there in turn 6, right, out of 7, in the close combat phase, he needs to eliminate this unit. If he doesn't do that, then in the enemy's turn 6 close combat phase, we need to eliminate that unit. If that doesn't happen, we instantly lose. Simply because turn 7, we need to be able to move into the bunker during my movement phase or advanced phase. And if there's anybody in there, that can't happen. So he needs to be dead and gone at turn 6, and this is turn 6. So I was a turn behind in getting these guys there. I think I fired him once. It's the difference. It really is the difference. Even though I made the mistake over here, jumping this guy there, another 4-4-8, these guys got annihilated there. The 2-3-8s tried their darndest to come from the back direction on the pillbox over here, right? If this unit one turn earlier just simply maybe moved, and he's got some firepower, if he's got a full squad, he could take some casualties. We just need a body there, to be honest with you. We just need a body there. So if we had moved him one turn earlier, let's say like 3 or 4 hexes, right? Then we'd be 3 or 4 hexes closer, and then we could do our bonsai straight down at the bunker. We'll take some fire, but that's all. That's what we have to do because we don't have any other units. But guess what? He's got 10 morale. This guy will have 10 morale. 4-2, as long as he doesn't get a K or KIA, all that shit's bouncing off of him. The most he's got is 6 firepower. And now, guess what? There's a ton of smoke. I'm not getting affected by anybody. So I think we continue on, and you'll see the smoke drift. I think I put the drift out there. Oh, and I do another bonsai charge. This one's actually feudal. I thought that I could possibly, do the alternate hex row and go down the middle. Unfortunately, because of that, this unit will then be a unit that's in front once I achieve this position. And that will be in front, so I will have to occupy his location anyway. So I really couldn't get past this unit or that unit to get to our bunker that's in the back. But the more you do, the more practice you get. Do the human wave, try and zigzag around stuff. I think he vaporizes these guys. No, he doesn't. So I look here, it's like, shit. I gotta jump that guy in close combat. So I jump him. It's like, yeah, whatever. And then Takagi takes a shot. It's like, I might as well help him in the close combat. Or no, I continue on because he's got, it's like, 1 to 4, hand to hand. Yeah, I gotta go that direction. And then for whatever reason, the gods was looking upon Takagi. He got pinned, so he didn't have to get slaughtered in close combat. So then we continue on here. We do some moves and advances. And look at all this beautiful smoke that's gone to waste. Everything. That is so beautiful. Just a piece of work. Just, worked perfectly in front of this guy. But they get mutually eliminated down here, which was awesome. Let me see. Who was that? Was it a full house squad? Yeah. We got Kato against a full 4-3-7. And we lynched him. I rolled a 4. 1 to 4. And that's it. I need a 5 for a kill. I need a 5 for a kill here. I rolled a 4. Eliminates him. Beautiful. And of course, he's going to get me. So that was great. So, that was pretty exciting. Over here, it's typical. He vaporized me. I think I casually reduced him earlier, I believe. So, dropped him there. And then these, I don't think those units actually occupied that, but we could have done that later. We do get the control up here. Literally the only spot that we didn't get. And again, we had a close combat right here. Right in the middle. And everybody died in this close combat right here. So then we could advance this unit in later. I think we could advance him in. I'm not sure. But very exciting. He had one pillbox left from this event. So that's essentially marks the end of the game. And take into consideration, right? My units were off board by 3 to 4 hexes. So they're not getting even on board until, as well as you saw. The other guys landed the entire way over in this area here. Had to go the entire distance of a board to enter the game. And he got here and he dropped his smoke where he needed it. So for me, I thought that was pretty impressive that, stick with the plan, get the plan moving, shove it up there, good things made happen, and do it. And look at this guy here. This little bastard's still alive. That guy was just shooting everywhere. So bottom guys, they all got slaughtered. But guess what? Objective. Doesn't matter. This guy can't do anything. We got nobody left. And we got this objective. That helped satisfy the victory conditions. We were short 1 objective from that crappy paradrop. All right. I gotta be honest with you. Since this one has a single vehicle, for those that are antsy about paradrops, I think this is actually an excellent scenario. And getting it done, it does multiple things. One, it gets you accustomed to a couple paradrops. You could just simply do it 3 or 4 times without the enemy units on the map, and just put it down. Really easy to do. Spread them out, see how it goes. And simply because the terrain is fairly conducive to not getting slaughtered on the drop, which most paradrop scenarios are designed that way. You know, again, mostly open ground, mostly open ground. We got a little bit of wooded stuff to worry about. Up here, like at the ponds, this is nasty. I hadn't even thought about the ponds, but yeah, we got some bad areas up here. You can land in them? Nah. Germans might. Everyone else, I don't think will, because they have the one drift. But again, based upon what I was up to with the Japanese, you're not really going to be exposed to a lot of fire. You know, this was pretty isolated. This was pretty isolated. This is pretty isolated, right? So when you're conducting your bonsai attacks, going down, coming down, right? Going up, they're pretty much 1v however many you got going for the most part, right? Everybody else is low firepower, not really going to have an impact on your human wave or your bonsai. So, again, I did 6 bonsais in this scenario, 6 bonsais. And so it gives you practice on the bonsai and, you know, read through the rules, read the bonsai. The first one you go, like this one over here, read the bonsai, make sure you know what the hell to do. And then the next one, say, hey, I kind of remember what to do. And then check it again. It's like, oh, make sure we can go that way. And this way, you know, can we go around this area? Next bonsai, I think, was, the first one was this one, I think. You know, stuff like that. So it will help you practice your bonsais because you have plenty of leaders. You've got decent units, and the enemy isn't really that strong. I wouldn't really necessarily bonsai medium machine gun, but you could do it. So that's it for this scenario. Again, Jack Wilson was my opponent in the WARR 1942 scenario. Again, this scenario obviously happens in 1942. So that's the theme, and we have a number of scenarios we select from that are super balanced, and we play players that are within a fairly decent balance range, and pretty much the games end up like this. You play it down to the last turn, very balanced. Could have gone either way based on a couple dice rolls, maybe a couple better moves on my part. And so, you know, we have lots of fun. And again, this was a gem. I was surprised. I had no idea it was a pair drop until, you know, Jack says, yeah, hey, you need to set up your drop points. I said, drop points? I have no clue what the hell you're talking about. So I was handily surprised and happily surprised that it was a pair drop. It's been a while, and hadn't done it with the Japanese, so it was like my birthday present. Well, thank you very much for watching this far. I kind of drug it on a little bit, but I kind of wanted to tie it all into one video, so it's a little bit more fluent. So again, I hope you enjoyed it, and now kick out your Vassal maps and go play some ASL.